I was booked for makeup by a group of Satanists. Story time.
Yo, gang, what's good? So today we have an interesting video. I was just thinking about it. It's wild. Imagine you are one of those entrepreneurs and you do service work, right? You do barber work and whatever it is. Sometimes you might have to do house calls. Then all of a sudden, while you're doing your house call, it happens that you do a house call on a Satanist. Now, if you ask me, it's not supposed to. It doesn't change anything. You know, if you're a Christian and you know who you are, you know, it shouldn't change anything, right? It shouldn't affect you. But for the life of me, let's not have that conversation of faith. Let's just talk about just having to go in someone's house and then they start doing crazy things. And you're actually aware, okay, I'm in the presence of a occultic practicing person type of thing. This is what happened with this girl, right? Or at least the story. You can verify with me in the comment section if this is one of those telling a story with someone type of thing, or it's actually her, right? Her name is Racheal Tsubanji. I hope I'm saying it right. I'll be butchering people's names on this platform. Forgive me, y'all. So I want us to watch this. Then, you let me know in the comment section how you feel about this, bro. So let's get into it.
I was booked for makeup by a group of Satanists. Story time. I usually do house calls because most clients prefer to be followed, but my rules for this is that you should be at least a group of 5 or more. I mean, it just has to be worth it for me to move from home to where you are. If for whatever reason you're less than 5 of you booking me, then you would have to come to my location because I have a studio just at home. My business is thriving and I think it's at its peak, so now I'm actually even considering getting a physical store. Usually by Thursday I would know exactly how many clients I would have for the weekend, but this week in particular was very different. It was on a Friday morning at about 7 a.m. and I received a message from this girl. This girl immediately goes ahead to ask me if I have any availability for that Saturday, meaning the next day, and also if I could follow her. She mentioned that she knew my policy of only following 5 people or more, but she asked me if I could consider because it wasn't possible that they were going to move and come to me. She mentioned that it was her and her 2 sisters and they had an event that was an emergency that they hadn't known about all along. At the time that she was making this inquiry, it was off-peak season, about January. So if you're familiar with the makeup industry, January is not busy. So it wasn't unusual that I had availability for them despite this booking being very last minute. I made it known to her again that I stand by my policy and nothing really can make me change my mind. It's either they came to me or this appointment wasn't happening at all. If I tell you this girl's negotiating skills are out of this world, she somehow managed to convince me that I should follow them. Actually, another reason why I did end up agreeing, though I was stupid, was the fact that she offered to pay for all 5 clients despite only working on 3 girls. With that offer, obviously I agreed. I mean, working on 3 people but receiving money for 5 isn't so bad, especially if I was going to be home on that day. To make it all worth it, she was actually willing to pay even before I showed up, even before I offered her the service.
Now I understand. I understand, bro. Yo, I've been part of that life for so long. I've been part of that life for so long. So I totally understand. Who would say no to that, right? Um, those type of plans, and also, mind you, this person um, is paying a hit. So I would have most likely agreed. By the way, don't just take the story as okay, imagine this is for all the people that do house calls for different reasons. Let's not even talk about that. Let's talk about just the mere fact that, think about it. There are actual Satanists in this world. They actually do exist. So you might actually be dealing with them on a day-to-day. So it's just wild. It's just wild to think of it that way, right? But let me know in the comment section, what accent is this? What type of accent is she? What type of accent is she speaking? I like it.
Especially if I was going to be home on that day. To make it all worth it, she was actually willing to pay even before I showed up, even before I offered her the service. Mind you, this was a new customer, so I didn't expect that much trust, but as my policy, I only receive payments after I have offered the service. Anyway, so Friday night rolls around and I have to prepare my kit, get myself ready, just prepare for the next day that was coming because this was an emergency booking. I couldn't even go there with my assistant. But anyway, 5 isn't too bad, so I knew I would definitely manage with or without my assistant. Immediately I get to their house and I have to get there at an awkward hour, which is like 3 in the morning because the event was for 8. I needed to make sure that I had enough time to work on all the 3 girls. Immediately I get there, let me just say that these are probably the nicest clients I've ever had. Everything was actually too good to be true. They offered me food, good conversation, the whole atmosphere was just very good, but I had this teeny tiny feeling that was just putting me at ease with these girls. I start doing their makeup and everything is just going on fine until I get to the last girl, and this is where everything crazy just starts to happen. So the last girl, who was also the oldest sister among the 3, she was also the same person that booked me, called her sisters into the room because they were in other rooms dressing up, I assume. She was just like, oh, you guys can come so that we talk to her. Immediately she says that I'm wondering, talk to her about what? And I knew they were obviously talking about me, and I was wondering like, what's there to talk about? First thing in my mind was, I hope these girls actually have my money because I'll be out of this place and I'll wipe their faces. At this point, all 3 sisters are in the room. These girls make the wildest request to me. The youngest starts and she says it in the sweetest tone possible. She says, we don't want to use force, so we prefer to ask you just in a nice way because we believe you're a nice person and you grant us our wish. So
That was crazy. We don't want to use force. And we believe that you're a nice person. So you grant us whatever we are asking. I'm sorry, but that's just hilarious. I had to stop the video a little bit. But hey.
I'm thinking, grant you your wish. What type of a wish is that? Then the next girl responds to say, we've noticed that your business is really thriving, you're doing so well in the industry and would love to be just like you. But remember at this point, yes, my business is doing fine. Yes, it seems like I have it all figured out, but I'm not even the top in the industry as in terms of finances. There are other makeup artists who are richer than me, doing so much better than I am in the industry. Why pick me? At this point, I don't know if this girl was telepathic or whatever. She immediately answers my thoughts and she goes like, yeah, even if you're not the best in the industry or the richest, you're amongst the youngest and those who are thriving, so we thought you were the best fit. At this point, I'm really shaking. I can't even focus on the older sister's makeup that I was doing. Anyway, so I tried to maintain my composure and I asked them, what exactly is this request? Because now you're starting to scare me. So the oldest girl, who's also in my chair, goes like, we don't want to use any force. We just want to ask you nicely because we have talked to someone who promises to help us in our business. All we have to do is bring the nails of a very good makeup artist or hairstylist and our work will be exactly like that person. When I hear that, I know that these girls are very desperate. I decided to talk them out of their fantasy and tell them, you know what, that's not how makeup works. You can try to register for my classes. And at this point, I was so scared. I even told them, okay, I'll teach you for free. I'll teach you all my business skills, my trade secrets. You don't have to get my nails and take them anyway. But no, these girls were not having it and they were very serious about what they were talking about. Honestly, at this point, I was still thinking, you know what, this is just a joke. It's some sort of a prank. But no one is smiling and all of them.
Can we be serious for a bit? Oh my word. Can we be like, for real, for real, for real, for real? Imagine if this was you, right? I can't. You're in a place you don't know. You're in a house you don't know. And such strangeness that's happening. Like, oh my word. I call on the blood. Bro, this is not the time to pray now. Like, if you're trying to pray in this time, if you're trying to pray in this particular situation, golly, you're in trouble, bro. It's not a time to pray. Oh my word. It's wild, wicked. Like what? I'm just imagining just having okay, let's continue with this. But hey, just think about it. Just think about it. You went like you always do to work. You went to offer service to someone. To offer service to someone, right? All of a sudden, this happens. What?
Are looking at me dead serious in my eyes. Oh, I remember, I actually have acrylics on, so it's not possible that you will get my nails. And I tell them, oh no, actually that won't be possible since I have artificial nails on. There's no way that you can get my natural nails. There's no way that I'll remove these acrylics by pulling them off. And then the youngest girl, in the coldest voice possible, just goes like, I can help you with that.
Slow down. Slow down. I was thinking like it was the official nails they wanted. Like the actual nails. That's crazy. And look, this girl who's confident to be like, I can help you with that. Get out of here in the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus, I rebuke. Oh my word, bro. I'm just thinking about a verse that says, you shall hear a voice behind you saying, go to the right or to the left. You know, it will direct you. It, I want to be gracious and say, to begin with, how you even get in that situation. How did you even find yourself in that situation? How did you even not know that you would end up in that situation, right? I want to be gracious and say that. And just, I don't know if this is one of those situations where like, but if it were you, what would you do, right? And truth be told, that's not the time to pray. That's not the moment to start praying, you know. That's the moment to start all the confessions that you've been making of faith, all the scriptures. This is the time for them to show up now. This is the time to address those devils. You can't start panicking in this particular instance. You can't start panicking. If you speak in tongues, this is a time to speak in tongues. But you're not just speaking in tongues out of fear. That's not gonna work. It's 1,000% not gonna work. Not in this particular situation. These girls, because they already came prepared to make you a human sacrifice, bro. I'm always having a good time, bro. But hey.
Context, the oldest looks like she would be 27. The second from the oldest looks like she would be about 24. And the youngest looks like she's maybe 20 or even 19. At this point, these girls are no longer looking like the sweet girls that just booked me a few hours ago. In that moment also, I noticed that this surrounding is probably not even safe for me. So I tell them, you know what, you can keep the money. I'll actually just pack up and leave. I'm no longer comfortable here. And then at this point, the second from the oldest goes like, oh, actually, you can't leave because the plan has already been made out. Until we execute, you're not going anywhere. If you have never been scared, honestly, this was the moment that was the most scary for me. I could literally feel everything in me go so cold because how did such a perfect day turn into this? I'm sorry, but you have to go to part 2.
Oh, my word. Anyway, do let me know in the comment section how you then reacted to this. No, seriously, how would you have dealt with this one if it were you? I'm not. If you want me to do the part 2 of this, let me know in the comment section. But like, I wasn't planning on doing it. I don't want to make this video unnecessarily long. But oh God, bro, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You were having a normal day. You were having a normal day with your client. And then they start saying strange things like these, bro. And then they start wilding out like this. What are you going to do? Let me know in the comment section, bro. See you in the next one.